I could give retail sales associates one single question to ask every customer that comes in the store, it would be this question. What type of research have you already done? It's kind of a twofold question. What type of research have you done, and how much do you know about what you want?
Okay.
Ask that question to the consumer.
That is a gem. Hi, I'm Craig. Welcome to BEDCRED. And of course, I'm joined by my friend, Ed. Say hi, Ed.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Now, today we are really bringing the cred. Please welcome Mr. Craig McAndrews. Let's give it up for him.
I like it. You have to use my virtual clapping on Zoom. Thank you.
Oh. I didn't even
awesome.
know that was possible. So yeah, if you got it, let's bring it.
We'll
now,
bring
for those of you watching at home, you probably haven't followed Craig's career like I have. We just told a story that there was one time in our careers where he came in and was looking to buy a new house. And it was apparently he was looking at my house because I was looking to move out of the area. So him and I have had a long history together. But let me give you a sense of what this man brings to the conversation. Now, he started on the wholesale side back in the day at Simmons Company. But when he left there, he started his own Mattress Firm franchise. Now, with that learning, once he sold that, he started a company called Innovative Retail Solutions, where he went out and actually learned how customers actually shop. But then it got invited to the big dance. He went into Mattress Firm Corporate, moved from a regional sales director up through positions like EVP of merchandising, into chief learning officer, into chief merchandising officer, and then capped out that section of his career as chief strategy officer for Mattress Firm. And now he's a professor. He is a professor of business at Bauer College of Business in the Sales Excellence Institute at the University of Houston. So, Craig, thank you for volunteering your time to be with us today. It's because of that credibility that we just thought you could really add to our conversation that we're having. So we thought we would pick your brain a little bit if you're okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate the introduction. So take a little stroll down memory lane. So no, I appreciate being here and being able to talk about this stuff.
Part of cred or credibility is to be able to edify our guests. So, man, thank you so much again for donating your time. I think there's a lot of similar conversations happening all over the world right now, and that's, what changes should we expect moving forward? A lot of economies are starting to open back up. So from your vantage point, what changes do you see, and what do we need to be ready for from a retail perspective?
Yeah, that's so I live in Texas, and so I appreciate the fact that Texas seems to be on the front side of transitioning back to, at least people being able to get back in business and move around a little bit. And so it's encouraging. But yeah, I think there's going to be big changes. And I know when I look at the business, typically, you look through the lens of the consumer, somebody who's buying it, and then the person who's selling it. And, I think from a consumer standpoint, we've already seen, even in the recent, number of weeks, that people are buying more online. And so online was already, a place to purchase, but I think more and more groups of people are comfortable doing that. So that's going to continue to expand into a lot of categories that maybe it hasn't been able to expand as much, and particularly in generations that maybe haven't done it as much. But I also think, this whole COVID-19 thing is going to change the expectations of consumers when it comes to like health and sanitation and just the experience that I'm having at retail and where my comfort level is. I think they're going to expect stores to pay a lot more attention to the issues that have come up as a result of this whole COVID-19 thing. I think packed stores, any store that anybody had that used to be really crowded, is going to be enormously unpopular in the future. Also, the other thing that I'm super curious to watch it. This is all speculation, but companies have created these massively consumer-friendly policies right now in the midst of COVID-19. I mean,
Oh,
returns,
sure.
super open to it. The airline industries set many of their, preferred traveler things as extending through the end of the year, like lots and lots of highly consumer friendly policy changes that, again, I mean, you guys know consumers. I mean, once they get used to something, they begin
Right.
to expect it. When they expect it, it becomes part of what you're doing. So I think companies are going to be faced with higher levels of expectations from their customers
Hmm.
on how they're going to interact with them. And so I think that's a big one. On from a salesperson side, I just think the whole digital revolution that's happening right now
Right.
just going to continue to gain enormous momentum. Like the idea of uh, being on social media and engaging with consumers through chat and through text. I mean, those things I see as becoming the norm with how sales associates are going to interact with customers
Okay.
versus exceptions that they are today. That's just kind of a few of the things that we're seeing.
Hmm.
Now, you've had a lot of experience, obviously, on the retail side, and I know you're like me in that you honor that job, and you like retail salespeople, you like salespeople in general. So, what advice would you give a retail salesperson as they go back to work, or as their stores are opening up, or if their store's been open but the customers start to flow back into the stores? What advice would you give them based on what you've learned recently?
Yeah, and I appreciate you calling that out because I have, having been a retail salesperson myself. They make it sound really cool when you're going to go open your own stores. What that really means is you're going to be the salesperson in those stores, and you're going to make your living through it. And so I had several years of doing that, but working with retail salespeople, they're the front line of contact with people. So I'm an optimist by nature. And so the first thing I always want to remind salespeople of is that, when things are bad, oftentimes good things come from them. And I think that's going to be the same thing in this industry. I think that, pent up demand is a real thing. I think
Okay.
that's part of what to look forward to.
Hmm.
For now, I think there's probably two things that I would emphasize to retail salespeople. The first one is just, man, open your mind and be ready to learn. Be ready to learn. Like, hey, I'm not used to setting appointments with customers. How do I do that?
Right.
Well, let's learn how to do that. I'm not used to having a strong presence on social media. Be open to doing that. So I think the biggest one is be open and ready to learn. And then, I think the second thing is really just to be patient as you can be, as people begin to come back and business begins to ramp up. I mean, I'm like probably you guys and everybody else, it's like it can't happen fast enough. But the fact is that some of this stuff you just straight up can't rush. And
Right.
so trying to be patient and then being ready to learn. The retail landscape and what retail salespeople do is going to change.
Hmm.
It has changed. I mean, it's changed right now.
Right.
It's going to continue to change in the way that they'll interact with people and the expectations of the customers coming in the store. And so staying open to that change and trying to, as much as you can on the front side, being proactive in learning.
Okay.
I mean, now's the time.
So you see social, so you made some key statements there. One of being, um, being open to being on social media. Do you see that more as a route that people will connect with their consumer, almost as like somebody coined a term, it's like an intrapreneur, not an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur. You work inside of someone else's company, but you act like an entrepreneur in the way that you reach out to gather your client base. Do you see that being more of the thing in the future?
Yeah, for sure. Well, to a degree, that's been happening all along. Set the social thing aside for a second. Like I can go back to my days at Mattress Firm, and each year we always honored the $1 Million Writer Club. Write more than $1 million, you get honored. And what you would find with those groups of successful salespeople is many of them had a built-in customer base, that people who just continue to come back to them or refer people to them. The difference today is I think, yet social platforms will enable that much more so than they ever have before. You will build up. I mean, it's called a network on social media, or if you're on Facebook, it's called your connections, but it's the same thing. It's this base of people that has a relationship with you because of some interest that they have and or some area of expertise. The thing with social media today is it's really enabled individuals like us to be positioned as an expert or authority in a field, much more so than ever in the history of doing business. The third piece of advice I'd give to retail sales associates is this idea of you got to get social. You have got to establish your presence on multiple social platforms. You got to learn how to develop your own digital brand, because that's what people are seeing. That's what people are, where they're going to get information. I mean, you already have a network of some sort, might be small, but you have a network. One thing that's unique to all of us is that network.
Right.
But you can actually build your network for professional purposes to leverage and turn into potential business for you at any point in time. I mean, there's no reason why any of us can't become like, the mattress guy for the connections and the network and the circles that we work in. So I would very much advise people, man, get social as quick as you can, and start engaging with people on social. And you see great examples of this in a number of industries. I did some work with a buddy of mine who's in the mortgage industry. And for the most part, the majority of their top salespeople, they all have their own LinkedIn page, their own Facebook page around their business. They're highly active in producing videos in and around what they do, who they serve, and helping their customers understand better the mortgage business.
Right.
And you're seeing them build up these great books of business centered around their networks and their connections. Social media and technology has enabled that to happen.
Now, technology has also impacted the consumer. You brought that up. Now, from what you have taught me, they're doing a lot of research, obviously, before they go in to shop. But you shared some statistics with me the other day that kind of stunned me about how many have made a decision before they ever even came in the store.
Yeah, but one of the neat things about being part of the Sales Excellence Institute at University of Houston is we have a PhD group who is constantly doing research, and the type of research they do is a lot around consumer buying behaviors. One of the biggest statistics today, like if you think about the buying process on a scale of, call it 0 to 100, 0, no interest, 100, I've made a buying decision. The research will tell you today that consumers are generally almost 60% through the buying process.
Wow.
Through the decision maker before they've ever interacted with a salesperson.
Right.
And so because they've already done so much of the work, they have an idea of what they're looking for. That oftentimes it creates this thing called purchase certainty, where I kind of know what I want.
Right.
And so I'm going to go in a store. I think the issues that we deal with today is that we don't approach those customers correctly. They did a neat project at the university where they looked at purchase certainty and the effects of the traditional sales approach on a customer who knew what they really wanted. And when you apply the traditional sales approach to a customer with high purchase certainty, it actually reduced revenue by 25%. 25% hit on revenue. And I asked myself, why? Why did that happen?
Right.
And as we looked into it a little bit further, the reason is that they kind of knew what they wanted. And either the sales associate didn't affirm that, or they tried to show them something else that confused them a little. And as they were confused, it's kind of like, I knew what I wanted. Now
Right.
I'm not sure.
Right.
The result is they leave.
Right.
And, I think I may have mentioned this to you when we were talking about it. I said, look, if I could give retail sales associates one single question to ask every customer that comes in the store, it would be this question. What type of research have you already done? It's kind of a twofold question. What type of research have you done, and how much do you know about what you want?
Okay.
Ask that question to the consumer.
That is a gem. That was worth the price that we paid for you.
Yeah, you get exactly what you pay for.
All kidding aside, that's huge, because let's think about it in realistic terms. If the consumer today is already 60% through the buying process, so they kind of know what they want, they're just coming in to make that final choice. So they come in at this level, and then we start way down here. Hey, how'd you sleep last night?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're looking for a wrapped coil or memory foam. Do you know what 5-pound foam is? And so on. So you see how we take them down. I totally get what you're saying. That's huge.
Yeah, it creates such a disconnect.
Yeah.
Like the customers, people are like, I kind of know what I want. We're like, well, hang on a second. Let me start you over again.
No, you don't.
They're like, no, that's not how it works.
So this is actually really interesting, because as more consumers get that negative experience where they've already done all this research and then they feel like they have to start at the ground floor again, as that becomes more and more their experience, it's going to just naturally drive them just to buy online, because I don't want to deal with that process. I already know what I want. I'm just going to click buy and really cut out that salesperson. So
yeah, I think that's the biggest difference is what technology has enabled consumers to know before they have to talk to anybody and get the information. Right. And as a result of that, it's, they know quite a bit, and oftentimes even quite a bit more than they necessarily want to talk about in the beginning. But yeah, if the salesperson would just ask them the right questions to acknowledge what is likely true, they've already done some research and they already know some things, they can circumvent that whole tension in the process of, somebody thinking, oh my gosh, here we go, you're wasting my time.
Amazing.
Very cool. Well,
really
it's been an absolute honor to have you here with us today, Craig. I really appreciate you volunteering your time to be with us, and your words of wisdom will be very valuable to our friends and our network. So thanks again for being here with us.
Man, I appreciate it. This is, I love the industry. Been out of it for a few years, but still, it's, once you're in it, you're in it, love the industry, love the people. As I am studying it even more and more, as I have been doing this job, it's been a lot of fun to kind of take what I learned before, apply a lot of the new things that I'm learning and see how things come together. So it's, I appreciate talking about it. And I didn't tell you this in advance, Craig, but today's my birthday.
What?
Happy birthday, man.
Well, that's okay. I appreciate it, but it's kind of like one of those, how you like to start a year off, like doing something significant.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is a cool conversation. It's about the industry. I thought, man, it's a great way to start the next year.
Very
awesome.
Cool. Well, happy birthday. Even on your birthday, you're joining us.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you so much, man. Hey, where could people find you if they were searching for you?
So LinkedIn is the best place to find me. I'm highly active on it. I talk social all the time, and so I'm both a practitioner and a teacher of it. So LinkedIn is the best place to find me. I stay pretty well engaged on that, and then you can find information about the consulting organization that I work with, or any of the university stuff as well on that platform.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Craig.
Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Appreciate it.